Jam. All right. Hey, welcome back. It is us doing the Bluecoats again. After several weeks of well, okay, it was one game of hiatus, but we all got to see each other in person, and it was lovely. So just to bring us back up to speed, I am of course Strash, he him. I'm one of the regular streamers here on Actual Play, and I will be playing Sergeant Drav Aran here on Bluecoats. Lauren, take it away.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I usually there. Just got up for a nap, so I'm excited for that post-nap energy to kick in. And I will be playing Maya Tui, the investigator on this case as we head into the final part of the Rorik War stuff, perhaps. I have a hand of Kotar, no big deal, and I punched a demon last episode with it, so I'm keen to see how that all roses and goes perfectly well and no consequences will happen as a result. How are you doing, Judd?
I'm Judd, he, him, and I'm the GM in this lovely, amazing mess. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm curious. I'm always curious with you two. So yeah, the last game was apocalyptic. There was fire and Kotar and magic hands and one magic hand, and I think a demon was killed and
Yeah.
flames. So it was good. It was really good. So, and I think uh, we're kind of at downtime now.
Oh, is yeah? Case almost closed. Start with downtimes. Yes, that is true. Do you happen to have the list
I've
of
got the
steps?
downtime. Yep, yep.
Take us
Uh,
away, Jed.
yep, I do for once. So, do we want to start with duty or do we want to start with heat?
Whatever is step one. I forget it
The
now.
unit earns 2 duty per operation by default. If the unit made progress on the mandate, take +1. If the unit completed a whole row of the mandate, take +4. If the unit endangered the peace or interfered with law and order, take -2. So I think you made. I mean, I think it's a sixer. I think you earn 2 for default, and then you completed a row.
Hey.
So we're at 6.
Not to completely shaft us, but I do believe that we endangered the peace. I think there are sections of town that are on fire. That did get fixed. That didn't stop them from being on fire.
Right.
That's okay. This is like Burl the Rich book slips, so who cares?
So that's 4 duty altogether.
Sounds good. How about them heats?
After an operation or conflict with an opponent, the unit takes heat equal to double the tier of the highest tier subject involved. Add +1 heat for a high profile or well connected target. Add +1 heat if the situation happened on a hostile turf. It's going to be yes to both of those things.
So that we get a pressure.
So
Sheesh.
Circle of Flame is tier 3. So that's 6, 7, 8. Oh, 10. 10 heat.
All right. Just tell me what the numbers should end up on. We started with 1 heat, 1 pressure.
Yep. Yep. So it's 2 heat, 1 pressure. Right?
2 heat, 2 pressure?
2 heat, 2 pressure. I don't have
So
the thing in
it
front.
goes to the top and then it flips over.
Oh, I see. Yeah, then 2 heat, 2 pressure. Yes.
Okay.
Uh, Paperwork and entanglements. Before entanglements, deal with paperwork. Blow off your paperwork and take +1d to one of your downtime rolls, or write your reports and choose what you say. What actually happened? Cover for the blue, or throw someone under the bus. If any number of unit members blow off their paperwork, add +1, add 1 heat. But at this point,
Cool. I'm not
it's
doing
another
paperwork.
heat.
How about you, Lauren?
No, if given the option. Not doing paperwork sounds fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is just one of those nights where Drav like looks at that stack of paperwork, and then there's that like long shot of him staring, and then he just gets up, very carefully pushes his chair in, takes his coat off, and just walks right out of the fucking building.
Awesome. And I think, I think like he's looking at the stack of paperwork, and then a clerical salamander comes in, who are the firefighters of Duskval, and she puts another stack of papers next to the stack of papers you had, and then the spirit wardens come in because apparently there's demonic involvement. Some of their paperwork is in ancient dead languages. Yeah. So anyway, it's a lot of paperwork, and you blow it off. Remember to take that +1d somewhere.
Yeah! It's the best day. I know exactly what that +1d is going into. I'm gonna catch that
Excellent.
lady. All right.
Should I roll 4 entanglements?
Yes, please do. You
Yes,
get to roll
please.
2 dice, and we're at heat 3, I believe.
Sounds good.
Oh. Link evidence to hive activity.
Jeez.
Excellent.
So I'm rolling 2 dice. Boom.
Hey, it's a 6.
It is a 6. Community or rivals? Rivals. A neutral faction throws their weight around. They threaten you, a friend, contact, or one of your vice purveyors. Forfeit 1 coin per tier of the rival to stand up to them, and lose 1 status. Yeah, I think the Ministry of Preservation steps up. And
We don't have money, Judd, so we'll just take the -1 status. But what actually happens in the fiction?
You are called in to a meeting with Chief Colburn, and you can hear yelling in her office before you get there. And then when you both come up to the door, she opens it, and standing around her desk is the Lord Governor and another man you don't know, who is just wearing like a crisp black suit, or a crisp gray suit with black pinstripes. And I will need
A name.
a name of all the things that I'm not ready for. A name is that, huh? Why don't I have that? All right, here we go. His name is Milos. That's a name I haven't used yet. Milos. Really? You're gonna do that, Judd? No, don't do that. Milos Ankayat.
He's Eruvian. It doesn't matter. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah. Sorry. And the Lord Governor says, this is Milos Ankayat. He's from the Ministry of Preservation. And he says, I am just here to congratulate you on your case. The paperwork has not come in, though. We were curious to read it. We've been following your case very closely since the bombing in Gaddock Station. We lost many good people there.
I think Drav just looks at this dude incredulously and says, if you're interested in the Gaddock Station bombings, this is not the paperwork you should be looking at. This is spirit ward nonsense you couldn't possibly have any interest about.
Mm-hmm. So have you gone outside of the realm of the mandate? I'm not sure I understand. Lord Governor? The Lord Governor looks at you.
I think like it's visible the like chords in Drov's jaw because I'm running on 8 stress and 3 trauma, and these people are. I'm just like, don't say anything, don't say anything. I'm sorry. Did you also want to read paperwork? I pointed at the Lord Governor.
Why don't you wait outside while we speak to the inspector, Sergeant Oran?
Yeah,
I think this would
go ahead.
Maya, like Maya sort of steps in front of Drop and is like, Lord Governor, anything you have to say to me, you can say to my liaison.
Trav is like, no, I actually am gonna take a step out of the room before I do something really untoward.
Fair enough.
Does the door slam as you walk out?
I'm Kurt, but as a point of note, like Drav is not wearing his coat. He doesn't like. I think his like. He has his ID on him somewhere clipped, but he is definitely not up to code these days. It's gonna take him a little bit to recover from the shit show that was that like assault.
The Lord Governor says, Inspector Tui, where are we on this case?
I think Bias like takes stock. She like recalls the entirety of this case, specifically the recent flashbacks to like her stumbling through the demon void, grabbing the hand of Kotar, deciding to equip it, pleading with her grandmother to help her, like all that family trauma that went on, and just like the little governor and
so I think that brings up a really good point. One of your hands is really odd looking, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like a clawed mummy hand.
It is. I feel like I would have gloved it if possible.
So you're wearing a glove?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you wearing 2 gloves out of curiosity, or are you just like, no, this is the weird hand, it has a glove on it?
Ooh. I'll do the cool one-handed glove because that's
Cool.
not conspicuous at all.
And like you just walked out of a fire, people are going to assume that your hand got burned. I mean, it's going to assume that it's there, that you're wearing a glove for medical reasons. People are going to assume things. So it's not, Michael Jackson isn't a thing in Duskfall, and so the association is that you're wearing it for medical reasons. Cool. I just wanted to get that set for the for reactions. He says, I would like this case wrapped up. It seems like the war is at an end. What is left to do?
Oh, what is left to do? I feel like this is just Lauren recapping notes. I feel like the last thing we had to do was
the war is theoretically between 2 factions.
Yes.
The Unseen, who we cannot identify, but we have stripped of every single one of their pawns and allies, and the Hive, who we can identify and know, and we are planning to crucify. So in terms of the 2 factions, the war is nearing an end to open hostilities, but the causes for the war, including like the money being poured in, is not actually done.
Yeah, I feel like Maya puts her hands behind her back, right, and like runs her hand along the gloved fingers of her mummy hand and says like, well, we've done what we can to neutralize both sides, and we're very much nearing an end in terms of clearing up the symptoms of this war, but the final root cause we're still investigating.
I don't care about cause. If you've got it wrapped up, if this violence is over, if this is not going to get in the way of people getting fed, file the final paperwork and get this finished.
Very well, Lord Governor. Like,
Chief Colburn, I'm sure you will supervise this. She doesn't say anything. She just looks at him and nods, and you can feel how pissed she is.
oh yeah, it's like a palpable sort of like energy between the two of us.
Oh yeah, this is this is kind of like her first welcome to the top fuck you moment, and she's getting it's getting served, her first ration of shit is getting served to her right in front of you. And he says, Mr. Ankiat, are we done? Of course. Congratulations again.
Like my eyes that moment where you fantasize about like emulating your boss, right? And she just like has this moment in her fantasy mind where she's just like, ah, and then like the whole like office bursts into flames and the Lord Governor is like sizzling and she's just like loving this moment that it steps back into the office and she's like, yes, of course.
And I think like as Milos leaves, he turns to Lord Governor. He says, "Is it getting warm in here?" And he says, "Yeah, it's old-fashioned heating system." And like they leave and close the door. And
can I interject for just 1 second?
Yeah,
I think there's just like a moment where like they're stepping out of the door chatting, and I'm outside the door, right? Like I've taken a moment to take my breath. I am cool and chill, and I literally say like, the guy did get introduced to me. Did his title get said or just his name?
yeah, he did have a title. Oh man, director of the Ledger.
Awesome. I think I call out. I think I say like, "Hey, director," just to like get his attention, right?
Yeah.
And I pointedly do not even glance at the governor. I just catch his eyes and I say, "We will get the people responsible for this."
We have nothing but faith in that.
Okay. I just, that's all I needed to do. We had our exchange. I am good.
Cool. And Colburn calls you both back into her office.
Yeah, of course. I was waiting for this.
God dang it.
She closes the door and just looks at the door for a second, trying to like figure out exactly how she's going to do this. And then she turns and she says, wild guess that whoever is left has suction with the Ministry of Preservation.
If she does, it's interesting because the ministry's currency was hit by that train explosion. Unless it's the unseen that are pulling strings, in which case...
So you have a decision to make. I can't make it for you. We can finish this.
I don't even let her finish. I just say like, "Oh, we're getting this done. We're getting this done. They can fire me right after, but this is getting done."
All right.
All right, cool. I'm done in this office unless she has more for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got downtime.
Actually, she does say one more thing. She says, You might want to make your hours odd, and you might want to work out of different places so I can't find you.
Drops hand on the knob, turns it open, and goes, "Ma'am, there's a reason why I'm in my civvies," and I just walk right out.
Cool.
Likewise.
Awesome. Awesome. Downtime. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to do stress relief or my character will terminate. So aside from
Yes.
that, though, it's all long-term projects. F everything else and take some people down. How about you, Lauren?
I likewise have a bunch of stress to alleviate, and I think that's the only super pressing thing.
Okay.
I figure my downtime actions are going to be writing in the deadlines, using the hand of Kotar for
Target practice.
target practice. Yeah, exactly. that's my downtime action.
You're relieved. Wow. Yeah. Let's get to that.
Okay.
I wanna be in that moment.
Rad. Do I take Isu? And I think unless Strav wants to come along.
No, I'm running with. I have another idea for my stress relief. I think I'm actually going to take my downtime actions and then do stress relief as my last one. But
oh, clever.
remember that I run 3 actions normally, and then we've got an extra action from our mandate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that stress relief first, I think. I guess I'll roll. We'll see how it goes, and then we can see. I don't think I'll overindulge. We'll see.
Let me get my sheet up so everyone can see.
3, 4, 5. Okay. I rolled a 6. I have 7 stress, so I reduced it to 1. It's not bad.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think this is like Deathline's target practice with like the hand of Kotar, kind of like sort of pulling fire arrows out and shooting like fire arrows at bottles or cans or ghosts or that kind of thing, whilst riding my horse.
Wow. You have the weirdest downtime ever.
Yeah, I gotta try and like get some control back after almost losing myself to like the hand of Kotar. So this is like, I'm gonna like get my like head in the game, figure out how to control these like weird powers, and feel confident going into this last part of the Rorik War.
Cool. Very cool.
Like to go ahead and take an action drop.
Oh, yeah. I think Drav is basically just like running through a bunch of underworld contacts, right? So we know that the hive was being monitored from the ghost field by the Dimmer sisters. So I think my first stop is to get whatever data I can on what's her face from them, right? Because they're going to have a much more long-term surveillance of her. And sort of have like more information and or data. Plus, there's a specific question that I need to ask them about whether she has any contact with Rorik's ghost.
Cool. Let's meet with the Dimmer sisters. Let's do it.
Yeah. And I think this is like 100% like Haggard hasn't shaved in like several days, definitely wearing his like scoundrel outfit Drav. Like the last time we saw him this way was in like case 1, like when he was running around looking for like what was his name, like Anethol Cross or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is awesome. Rosalind meets you, I think outside the house. like not outside, but like in one of in one of the under like on one of the walkways on the on the dock of one of their under canals.
Awesome.
And she says, "Yeah, we were looking into them because before you got us to flip, the unseen wanted to burn down their galleon."
That scans. That's basically the two factions that are truly at war, right? Like everyone else is
Right,
just pawns.
right, right. Um, do you want the info on the galleon burning?
I, I'm less interested on the galleon burning specifically. I'm more interested on why the galleon is such a juicy target and any information that you have on. And I give the name of the lady. I keep forgetting the one that actually wears the beanie.
Dejera.
Yep, Dejera. I need information. Any information you have on Dejera specifically, if she consorts with ghosts, specifically the ghost of one Rorik.
We haven't found Rorik yet. There is a bounty on the ghost, brought in safely in a spirit jar. Just got put out yesterday.
By whom?
It was done through a third party.
Who's the subcontractor?
The subcontractor is the oh, you know who it is? It's the pub, the cat in the cradle. They sometimes will do holdings or post jobs of scoundrels for people, uh, if they don't want it known who's doing what.
Okay, I'll take a look into that. Thanks. Yeah, just give me anything you have on Dejera, and at this point, the case is wrapping up. I think that most of the people that were involved are going to get away with only the burns they received during the whole protocol. But I'm going after some angrier targets.
All right. Good luck.
Cool. I'd like to roll to work on my long-term project.
Yep.
This feels like I don't know, relate. It was pretty friendly. Maybe
Yeah.
is there a consort? There is no consort. Control, question, testify, assault, pursue, secure, exploit, observe, relate. No, this feels like relate. All right, cool. Let me just roll some dice. The Dimmer sisters are not my friends. So I don't get any bonuses. That's a 6. I definitely finished my clock, and I have 2 segments sitting in my pocket. So I have to link evidence to hive activity, and I finished my freaking clock.
Awesome.
What information do we find out, Judd? And is it enough to testify, I guess?
I mean, the clock was link hive to like criminal activity, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
Specifically, this started originally when we were trying to make sure that the hive were the people that blew up the train. If we find other information that corroborates that or leads to that, that's also fine. It's
cool.
just we're trying because like so far the hive has largely acted through pawns, and we don't have hard proof that they're either moving those people or actually like paying for those actions, right? Because they've been pretty careful about keeping their noses clean.
Okay.
And what the clock is for is to make sure that their noses are not clean. Even
Got
if that
it.
means that there's going to be follow-up clocks to investigate other things.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think you find like I don't think you find like a smoking gun, but I think you definitely can show that uh I mean, it's the Silver Nails who planted the bomb, right?
Yes,
Um,
and they confirmed that the Hive paid them to do it, and when we
right,
pushed them on why, they said, well, it's to change the price of grain, right? Like, it has
right.
something to do with, like, kind of large scale money motion.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, you find a paper trail that's linking the Hive's money moving to the Silver Nails, and then you find a paper trail on how much money the Ministry of Preservation, because that's public information. Like the Ministry of Preservation paying for food is public information. You just have to know who to ask. So you ask, but then you take it a step further, and what the Dimmer sisters help you do is show how they launder a lot of that money to go back into crime and fund the war. And
Nice.
so they took like this staggering amount of money from buying like a seat from selling the imperial government a season's worth of grain for double what they should have been paid for, and then you have the paper trail that shows them laundering that money back into the into the streets and into crime, and it's a ludicrous amount of money. I mean, like, why didn't they just take that money and retire? Is like kind of like the thought. It's like it's so much money. Uh, so yeah,
Awesome.
that's what's up.
Uh, does any of this paper trail have appropriate signatories? Like, I'm trying to find specifically the Jera's name somewhere in the pile.
Totally. Yeah, I think yes, because that was the whole clock, right? Is
Well,
linking
it was
them to
linking
it,
Hive, and if you were like,
right?
the Hive is definitely behind all of this, I would be like, I have accomplished my clock. But if then you're like, but you don't have Dejera specifically, I would be like, awesome. What is the size of the clock to go and bully some bankers into giving me some of their records?
Right, right.
Which is
No,
fine. But
I think you've got Tejera's name
okay,
on
awesome. Awesome.
on some things.
The only thing that I have left is so let me ask you this, Judd. Do I, as an ex criminal, have any idea what the hell the Unseen's role in this war was? Were they just accidentally in the way? Like, did the Hive attack a specific turf? The turf being this particular fiscal set of interactions, and previous to this, the Unseen controlled that turf, and so
Right.
that's why the war erupted? Or does this seem to be more than that?
You haven't found the reason, and which makes you think it might not be even a very good reason.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, like it seems to you that the Hive wanted to go after the crows, and then dominoes fell from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That I already have answers for, right? Like, that's
Yeah,
involved
yeah.
with Rorik and Dejera specifically. So, cool. I might actually finish doing paperwork at the end of this, after all. Lauren, take it away with another action.
Oh, good question. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, can I reduce some pressure by like doing the paperwork and attending meetings with the Lord Governor and the Ministry for Preservation? Because I feel like that's for sure a thing ministries are want to do when the stuff comes to a crisis, is just talk about it but not do anything.
Right. So what were you thinking of doing?
Reducing pressure. I was just sneaking on Draft's clocks and noticed we had a reduced pressure clock.
Yes.
And we have a fair bit of pressure. So would that be a useful
Yes.
thing to try and reduce
Well,
during
yeah.
stuff?
Let's have a conversation. If
Yeah.
you're planning to do more jobs, then that's a good plan. But if we're not planning to do more jobs, if we're just going to go into like court and deal with that, then that pressure is unimportant. Because I have a feeling that they're right. This case is closing. There isn't. Do you have anything else that you want to do? Like, I actually noticed that I have a note that says the Jeremiah personally got an advisorship to the Ministry of Preservation, which means that I have all the strings I need to put her on the stand and do what I need to do. pressure be damned. Like right now, we're not gonna have another unless we do a job. We're not gonna have another entanglements phase. So pressure is largely irrelevant. You could work on a clock to not get me fired.
That was the other clock I was thinking of helping on.
You could work on you could train yourself in the use of the hand. That is totally a thing. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I think like my gut for some reason is telling me to reduce some stuff on the clock that will get Dravified.
Drav is trying to get fired at this point. So he's like, I'm going out on Blaze of Glory.
And Mia's like, no. I will talk to folks for you.
You're gonna keep me from living the dream of a peaceful life, where I work for an elderly gentleman, several centuries elderly.
Yeah, I think I'll try and do some ticks on the clock to get Dravified, just to have that little bit of buffer.
Yeah, give him some leeway. What are you doing to do that?
Paperwork. Sorry. No.
Interesting question. So, like, I guess, like, is Milos like, I guess he's kind of below the Lord Governor in terms of like hierarchy. I guess, like, it would be, I feel like, to my benefit to convince someone above the Lord Governor that Drav is like this super important, crucial piece to this magic that we have going on here. Because the Lord Governor last time was like, "Nah, you can fuck off."
Right.
So, if possible, I would super love to go to someone above him and convince them that.
I mean, you could talk to Watch Commander McClellan. You could talk to. I mean, so Milos Ankiat is not above Lord Governor, but the Lord Governor definitely feels pressure from the Ministry of Preservation, right? He can't run this city without water and food. So, like, he needs those people.
Right. So I could potentially get I could talk to their director, perhaps, about this case.
Nice. Yeah. You want to meet with the Gaddock Station director?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. Awesome. Her name is Vay Templeton.
Ooh. Oops. What's her office like?
Her office is this it's on the top floor of Gaddock Station. So like on one side of her office is and it's in kind of a glass dome. So like on one side of her office is a view into the Deathlands, and along both lines that the rail goes. And then on the other side is this amazing view into the city. Not from like too high up, but like you're looking on rooftops, but it's definitely not like a founder's tower high up, you know?
Nice.
And in the middle of the office, under the center of the dome, is a kind of a headless, armless, legless statue of a forgotten god. And like, as soon as you walk in, you look at it and you're like, oh, the burned king. Like, you know exactly who it is as soon as you look at it.
Ooh. Nice.
But like, she probably just thinks it's like some Deathlands piece of art, right? Like, who knows? It doesn't necessarily mean she's a burned king worshiper. People sometimes have things in their offices, they just don't know what it is.
Nice. I feel like Baya for sure just like sort of swans in and sort of just tip of the hat and then like paces them a little bit, runs her hand over that statue.
Yeah. And I think like Maya can see like the flaming crown above it that no one else can see, right?
Ooh. Oh god.
It's the Cinder King.
And
Sorry.
Right.
I think Maya says to her, like, oh, what a fantastic view you have outside this office. It must have taken quite a lot of persuasion to secure such a lovely view.
Now, the director of Gadexation is an important position, and I need to be looking both sides of the rails and looking in on the city too. Thank you so much for looking me up. I've been meaning to talk to you ever since those scoundrels took a bite out of my Gadok.
No, likewise, I was thinking much the same. It's a shame our paths have not crossed until now, considering how a vital role you more or less play in the situation that's going on. It's very important that our people can eat here.
Absolutely. I looked up your entry. Oddly, you're one of the few people who actually arrived here on their own steam. You didn't come on the train.
No, indeed, I very much value taking like the road by one's own feet than other means are possible.
No?
I rather enjoy riding out in the Deathlands myself.
She laughs like you just said a really funny joke. It's like it's ridiculous thing. Like clearly you're joking. She laughs and then like you move on.
Mm-hmm.
You move
Yeah.
on.
And I think like
so funny. Anyway.
yeah. And I think there are also signs in her office that point like down one track, and it's like that way to Wintercliff, and down the other track is to White Hollow. And that's just like the next city on the Imperial rails, right?
Mm-hmm.
She says, so I also think it's really I hope you don't mind, I looked you up, and actually your entry date into Duskfall was 1 year ago today.
Huh. I hadn't realized it was a cause for such an anniversary. Thank you for keeping tabs for me.
No. It's I just thought it was such an auspicious thing that we should meet today. Anyway, come, let's have a seat. And she sits, and it's like, you know, a gentleman in a white coat and white gloves and black pants serves you both coffee. And she says, how can I help you, Inspector? I'm a big fan of your work. I'm a huge fan of your work.
I think Maya takes the cup of coffee and like savors it and like sort of breathes it in and is like, Miss Templeton, this coffee enough is almost worth the trip here. It's been such a long time since I've had a decent cup myself. It's usually mushroom tea from the tower.
I'm very lucky that I because of my position, I sometimes can get dibs on things that come in, and when the coffee comes in from Aruvia, I jump on it.
And I think Maya takes like a sip and cups it in her good hand and says, "No, as you said, I've been very much hoping to speak with you. I think she leans in kind of like conspiratorially to be like, I've got some gossip to share with you, kind of thing. And says like, between you and me, I find that the Lord Governor is far too focused on the criminal justice system than he is on seeing that right is done. And I often find that when wheat and produce are involved, the rats tend to come out more than they would usually.
That's interesting. I'm sure you have a much better perspective on that than I do.
Well, I would not claim to know more than yourself. You've presumably been here for a little longer than I have, given I've only been here for a year. But
I grew up in Charter Hall, and I've seen that part of town change and become. Well, I mean, it's the scoundrels are trying to edge their way in. So I applaud the work that you and the Lord Governor do to keep our city safe.
I think Maya again like sort of laughs and stuff like, oh, like you don't quite understand exactly what's going on here, and says like, I wish I could attribute much of that good effort to the Lord Governor. Alas, I have found it is much due to the insight and intuition that myself and my liaison driver Ron bring to the case. Although, of course, I by no means am suggesting that the Lord Governor is inhibiting our good work. Just that,
of course not.
Quite understand what it's like, to have your feet on the ground, as I'm sure you appreciate and understand.
I do.
I think like Maya sips her coffee thoughtfully and says, and
I mean, you might not know this, but I'm a gal who grew up in Templeton, who grew up in Charter Hall and done good. I've gotten here through hard work, much in the same way that I'm sure you have. And I'm not from some founding family. When I read the news of you bringing down the Rowans because of their role in that illegal drug ring, I toasted to you and Dravaron's good health.
Oh, and I think my iPad like sort of blushes a bit at that. She's not very used to like people paying such close attention to her, and she says like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Dravaron, I find, is someone who's likewise like I would not. What did she say? I think she says like, I appreciate Dravaron's like experience and insight he brings to this case, specifically because he is likewise born and bred here and has seen all the various bellies the city has to offer. Its underbelly, its above belly, like all of the he has been around the block, so to speak. And may I roll a relate roll to see if like I can kind of like get her sympathize a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Drop her on.
Go for it.
Let's see if this works.
Yep. I should have.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say controlled light.
Oh, okay.
If we're using this for a downtime action, the position is.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. Cool. Got it. So we're just taking off checks. So you got.
It's gonna be 2 checks.
Two checks off. Cool. She says, quite frankly, I think you could have done this with any Bluecoat backing you up. From what I've heard, the Bluecoats are just another gang in this town, and it's really the inspectors who are doing the hard work. But if you feel like you need Sergeant Iran to do your job better, then I will put in a word and make sure that I'll do the little that I can do to make sure that he stays.
Like Maya nods and says like, if you've thoroughly done your background research on my good self, then you should know that I am not one to take friends lightly, and I can say with my whole heart that Dravaron is a good friend of mine.
Very well. I hope your hand heals up. I'm sorry to see that you took something in the line of duty.
And that's when you see like Maya stiffen a bit and like hide her hand a bit more behind her back, and she nods.
Cool.
Like without like thank
you. And I think like as the camera backs up, like it backs up like past the statue, which is like has this, electroplasmic flame above it in the ghost field that only Maya can see.
Nice.
We can end on that.
That sounds lovely.
Cool. What's next for downtimes?
I need to take one more action and then stress relief.
Cool.
But I Lauren, maybe you can help me with this. I've got I'm thinking about maybe you can do this if you're into it. I think that we can. We really want to do like an acquire assets action to get some, like essentially like a setup for the testification, right? Because like we may want to acquire some testimonies of the people that we already know have been impinged, but specifically we're looking for like Lissa of the Crows. We're looking for a member of the. Hang on, I found my notes. The Wraiths, I think. Andrel might work in particular, and so on and so forth, to talk about like the status of the war. We might need to convince one of the Silver Nails to literally talk about the fact that the Hive paid them to set that bomb. So what we're basically looking for is like set up actions to increase our effect during the case. So that would be good. And any one of those would be good. But the Silver Nails and Lissa are probably the most helpful, or the most damning to the others. I also have like a personal note, which is I don't know that this is a downtime action, Judd. You tell me if it needs to be, which is okay.
Yeah.
I want to write personal commendations for the 3 to 4 people that volunteered to stay, knowing what the conditions of the case are. I think there's a single hair that my cat left in front of my camera that's driving
It's
me
the
batty.
ghost field.
Perfect. Yes, it's the ghost field. The tiny cat ghost field. So yes, do I need to like can we just say that I do that fictionally, or is that a because I think Drav like has to kind of do a little bit of soul searching, because his impulse is like, these assholes that didn't send me the people that I needed are the reason why half of Charter Hall's on fire. But he's like, picking a fight with every person is not going to end well. So I think that what I'm going to instead do is just praise the few people that actually did their jobs, unlike the rest.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's. I'm going to say it's a 4 count clock to get that done.
Okay.
It's just like a 4 count administrative clock.
And I need to go down to the Cat in the Cradle and see who's looking for Rorik's ghost.
Cool.
So, Lauren, that's the things that I'm interested in doing. You tell me if you want to do any of them, or if any of those even remotely interest you.
Yeah, I'm super down to talking to the Silver Nails to see if they will testify.
Awesome. In which case,
us.
I will give you the mandate acquire assets action to do that.
Awesome.
Cool. Who goes first?
I can go real quick.
Awesome.
Okay.
If you're taking on the Silver Nails, then I do not know how salient Lissa's word is going to be, but I think I have to. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and acquire Lissa's testimony.
Wow. Wow. Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to Crow's Tower.
How does acquire asset work? I feel like that's a part of the game I really don't know very much about.
Cool. So we roll our tier and we get an asset of a certain quality. A 4 to 5 gives us a standard asset. 1 to 3 gives us poor. 6 gives us fine, and then we can spend money to improve the quality of that asset.
Cool.
We don't really have money, so that's
Right.
not an option. But
I was gonna say, buddy.
what game do you think we're playing? Blades? No, this is Bluecoats. So, yeah.
So I missed John Hopper.
Yeah, he did have the monies. All right. We're technically tier 2, so we'll have 2 dice to this roll. Does that sound good, Judd? Do you want me to roll that first, or?
Yeah. Make a roll.
Okay.
I think you go to talk to Lisa, and let's see how it goes.
All right, cool. Let me just boop. Oh, hey, it'll just let me roll it. Sweet. Bonus dice 0. 5. Partial. So I get
Cool.
a standard asset, whatever that means.
Yeah. So I think a really great asset would have been her agreeing to like come in.
Yeah.
But I think you get like the written affidavit, you know?
I get her
with
testimony.
you get her testimony.
Okay. Like I can't. That's how it goes. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool. What's next?
You want to grab some silver nails, Lauren, or
I would love to. I have a question heading into this. So, like, if we require an asset, it's always the crew tier, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's always going to be 2 dice until the mandate resets, in which case it's 0 again, I think.
Okay, well, I might just take this approach anyway because it sounds like a bad idea, which is always a good thing. Yeah, I would love to sort of acquire a private booth at the Mustang for myself. Oh gosh, I forget the leader of the Silver Nails.
Suresh.
Suresh, that's right. Yes. Yeah, I would love to sort of see us steal a private room in the back or something for me and Suresh and any bodyguards that she would like to have around.
I mean, it's definitely still wartime, but it's not quite as rough as it was the first time when you folks went in there. But like, she takes you to the back room, which is the same room where the burglar came out of the ghost field and tried to shoot her.
Nice. It's badass. Yeah, I feel like we sit down at the table with like some roasty appetizers and share some small talk before Maya is in the moment right where it's like, but why are you really here, right? And I think Maya looks to the left and right and then slips off her glove and puts down their sort of mangled Kotar hand and says
yeah, she cusses in Severosi.
Yeah. And she says Suresh, I wouldn't ask you to do this because I know how much the courts have really fucked over Severosi, but I need you to take the stand, and this here is sort of just a mangled hand. It's my way of showing that I can protect you if you provide us support. The rumors that there's a Severosi witch in town are by no means rumors.
Yeah, roll the dice. I'm really curious how that works.
Okay.
I'm glad I have the dice to tell me because I had no idea what she would have done if it wasn't for that.
Okay. I'm just gonna. Oh, so many buttons.
Just click the word tier and then you get 0 bonus dice. It should roll it.
Oh, cool. Oh, easy.
Boom.
I got a 4 and a 1.
Cool. Yeah, and I think it's the same thing. You get the written testimony, but no, Suresh is not taking the stand. But technically, it should be kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I think when she says to give written testimony, Maya says that is more than. Oh, what?
I just realized both of us blew off paperwork, which means that we each get a +1d. So I was going to ask Judd if I could roll one more die and see if it comes up to 6.
Yes.
If it doesn't, I mean, it's a 1 in 6 chance, right? It's not great, but that's okay. So I'm just going to roll.
I likewise take advantage of that extra dice.
Boop. No, I don't. I only get a written testimony. But you should roll.
Oh, I dang it.
Okay, well, those are trying, right? It's
totally.
an extra die. We might as well use it, right?
Yeah.
So this is why we play games with dice. They tell us answers.
So I think Maya sort of thanks Suresh for her written testimony and says I understand how much it means to come forward and to take a stand in this war, and I appreciate it.
You are very welcome. You saved my life, so the two of you.
Of course. I hope it does not come to that more in the future, but know that I will always have your back when it comes to that.
Of course. I think Suresh is clearly terrified of you, as you do.
Oh no.
Yeah. Cool.
I,
what else?
Put the glove back on. Right out of there.
Draw has
Like,
one more action remaining, and I think that there's this moment where we see him, and like there's like a bunch of melted down candles indicating that he's obviously worked through the night, and he takes all of the papers and like stacks them, and then like puts them in like a safe and closes it, and then we see him like shaving, we see him like strapping on weapons and like putting on his civvies and everything, and then he exits his very well fortified apartment, which I spent segments acquiring. And
where is it? What district is it in?
I think it's actually I don't know, you can pick a district, but I think it's actually not an official apartment. I think that he acquired a property that now contains an apartment, but he like it's like a broken down old clock tower that doesn't technically belong to anyone, but it has multiple rooms and is kind of an apartment because he's a paranoid person that does not want to see spirit wardens arbitrarily appear in his house. So
Cool.
I think he like goes down and then like exits from somewhere that's not directly attached to the building. So yeah, like all of this fancy nonsense. What he does is he's gonna go spend a day with his daughter because my duty is obligation, and
Ooh,
that's what I
nice.
do. So let's see that on screen. What is our relationship
Yeah.
like? Right? Like, do I have to pick her up? Is it
Yeah.
formal and awkward? Do I teach her how to pickpocket? What's the vibe between the two of us?
Yeah. Um, that's awesome. Yeah. So Elaine is this really young girl, right? She's like 6 years old.
Yep.
And she, uh, I think Lizette is has taken a position in the house where she's being raised as her butler, as like a nanny butler position. And but Elaine like goes out to the park like in Charter Hall with you uh, maybe once a week, and uh, she is being raised by these two SCAV professors who are married and were thinking about adopting, and this whole nonsense sped up their timeline. And they understand that you have a role in this young lady's life that uh, is complicated, and they're totally cool with you coming by, once a week, and
Yeah, I figure it's scheduled, right?
yeah, and she like holds your hand while you're crossing the street, and she said, and I think the last time you saw her, she asked you a lot about your job. I think she just like learned about jobs in school, and she's very interested in it. And she explains to you that her auntie Lizette is a butler, and that her uncles are teachers. And then she got that she. What did you tell her about what you do?
I tell her that I'm a liaison, which if she can't pronounce is totally fine. But what that means is that I work with investigators to solve big problems for the Emperor.
Wow.
It's true, right? And I think
Yeah.
there's probably like it's really interesting because like maybe even a month ago, Drav would have said like I'm a blue coat. You know what blue coat is? You see them on the streets. They keep people safe or something like that, which is like the lies you tell children. And he just nope. That's not a story he's telling anymore. So, yeah.
What kind of problems?
Complicated grown-up problems. I think the park we go to is going to be. Which district does she live in?
Uh, Charter Hall.
I pointed the fire. That kind of problem.
I heard Lizette talking to my uncles, and they said that was because of the war that's going on right now.
Yep. The war's not going to be going on right now because I did my job.
That's good. Wars are bad, right? Because there was the war in Scotland for a long time, and that's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm morbidly curious what Lizette and her parents are teaching her about the war in
Yeah.
Scotland. But
Right.
I don't. Maybe I pry just a little bit. I say like, oh, so you've been learning about that.
We we had a school project on Unity Day, and my uncles will tell me, stuff when I ask them. They're really good about that, but they didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah, it's tough to talk about.
And that's where I come from.
Yeah, you're born there.
And my mom and dad were killed in that war.
Yes.
What were you about to say?
I was about to tell her the truth, and then I remembered I'm not supposed to do that. I'm like, close enough. We can talk about this when you're older. Is basically what went through my head.
Right, right.
I think what I tell her is actually, I say, sometimes words are complicated because nobody wants to think that they're on the wrong side, which means that at the end, one side gets to say that they're right, and the other side doesn't get to talk a whole lot, which makes conversations about that war very complicated, just like conversations about this war, and I point, at the burn section of the district, are very complicated. Uh, Fortunately, this time, I do have an answer about who was wrong.
So are you going to put them? So what happens when you find out someone was wrong?
Well, then I try to convince a magistrate to put them away.
Is that hard?
Yes. Because magistrates will oftentimes listen to various people, and sometimes bad people have a hell of a lot of money, which means that they are very, very loud.
Money makes you loud?
Sure does. Do you want some ice cream? No, I don't try to distract her too much, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
I say, yeah. I say, I actually point at Charter Hall. I say, there's a lot of people here that are yelling for me to lose my job because they're scared and they want someone to blame. And because they are wealthy and rich, they might get their way. But it's got nothing to do with whether I am or am not doing. Sometimes what people believe is what they want to believe, not what is actually the truth.
Hmm.
I probably shouldn't. I literally say the phrase, I probably shouldn't be talking about this with a 6-year-old, should I? To her.
You should do like my uncle did and get tenure. Then they can't fire you unless you light something on fire.
I'll take that under advisement. Actually, what I tell her is, oh, I don't know if I want to be in my job forever.
Ooh, that's interesting. I think she jumps right on that, and we'll end it here. And she says, "What do you want to do if you don't solve problems for the emperor?"
I think I stick my hands in my pockets and think about that for a second, and I say, I don't know. What do you think I should do?
I think you should come live with us.
I would make a terrible butler. And I think that's probably a good place to end it.
Awesome.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that. I've been wanting that scene for a long time.
No problem. Happy to. Let me see. I forgot that she's that young.
Yeah, I spent a long time trying to figure out how old she was, and I think it kind of only makes sense if she's that young. Otherwise, she'd be old enough to be able to suss some things out that would make this all even more complicated.
Yep. I don't know when the next case takes place, but we might see that. So, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Sick stress. I'm done with downtimes. How you feeling, Lauren?
Yeah, I think I'm done with downtimes.
Woo!
/ I can't buy any. So we're good.
Cool.
I get 2 stash. Yay, me.
what would you like to do now, folks? You want to we want to shift into courtroom drama mode? Is that what we're doing?
We can, or we can just like epilogue it depending on how things go. Lauren, how do you feel? Do you want to play through another courtroom sequence?
Ooh,
Do we want to make a couple rolls and just see how it's shaking out?
good question. I thought this case has spanned like such a long time. Lauren has perhaps got some pertinent details, but I'm good to play it out and take the time to check facts if we wanted to go that route, or we can totally epilogue it and roll some dice. Or I can sit through my notes, which I should clean up.
I mean, well, let me get clear with what exactly you want out of the epilogue. Like, do you want to see Dejera taken like in bracelets? Like, is that? Yeah, that's going to be a roll.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we can play like sort of montage, perhaps like bits of the courtroom drama.
Yeah. Cool. I think it's a testify roll, right? I mean, I'm not telling you what to roll, but
how's your testify there, Lauren?
I have 2.
Damn. Would you like some free assists from me?
Heck yeah. I'll take all that I could get. And how do our assets factor into this kind of thing? Again, I totally am blanking.
Usually they'll give us effect, right? So like if we were actually to play this out, Judd would make us a clock and be like, Dejera is a tough nut to crack. Maybe she's an 8 or a 10 clock. I don't know. Or do you have so much evidence? This is only a 6 clock. I don't know. And then like we'd get extra segments or setups on our rolls and things like that. I was just trying to dot my I's and cross my T's if it came down to that. Because gosh darn it, I so do not want her to slip through my grasp. But we never know. That's why we play games with dice. I am happy to spend a stress to assist you though.
Oh, rad. I
Your testifying is
will.
better than mine. You should definitely be the person that puts all the pieces together for folks.
Yes. And I believe I can push myself to do my job. So I will do that as well.
I just saw you had 402 and I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, I was all ready to. When it came down to talking to Suresh, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use a tune to be like, look, I can fucking end you, but I can also protect you. What do you want? But didn't have to do that. So
cool. So I've got 2 clocks. I've got an 8-count clock that says Dejera in Ironhook, and then I've got a 4-count clock that says Dejera walks.
Ooh.
Good luck, Lauren.
Thank you. Does my position and effect matter terribly for this?
They do, because it sets how many ticks the 4 clock is going to receive if you get consequences.
Red. Okay. What is my...
Remember that you have special armor when you're acting in defense of your thingamajiggy. Your job or something like that. You have power for that, I remember.
Oh yes, I have that. What is it? Yes, have sanction. I can spend special armor to push myself in the line of duty.
Or resist consequences. Because right now, you push yourself with stress, but you can use that armor to reduce the death clock, the escape clock, as it were.
Oh yes, yeah. Maybe I'll save it for that. I could also push myself to impress onlookers, which feels like very appropriately courtroomish.
Yeah. Awesome.
Sweet. So yes, what is my position and
cool. The magistrate's name is Lady Drake.
Nice.
And explain to me what you're doing, and I'll tell you the position and effect.
Ooh. I feel like in this sort of, in my mind, the courtroom drama episode of this show, it's like you lead up to like Dejera is like the key witness, right? So it's like you might have like go.
Can I just realized I'm sitting here and I'm like, traditionally, this kind of question only becomes interesting when we understand what the first scenario where there's a plot twist is, right? So like asking what we're doing is like, I don't know, we have opening statements, we bring witnesses to the stand, like
cool.
right?
Yeah.
So like I think what we need to do is maybe make
Just have a little context.
an entanglement. Yeah, an entanglement
cool.
Engagement roll.
Yeah.
Just so that we can kind of know what position we're in, because like what we do is based on the fiction, right?
Yep. I was thinking the same thing. That's a great idea. Let's make it an engagement roll.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
That's entanglements. That's engagement.
Feeling oddly nervous.
The operation is bold or daring. You should be. Take 1D. The plan's detail expose the vulnerability of a target or hit them where they're weakest. I'm going to say take plus 1D.
Nice.
Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation?
That's what all the acquire assets were for.
Cool. Plus 1D. And I'm going to say this is a higher tier target, so take a die away.
Yep. 2D it is.
Excellent.
Do you want to roll in bones, Lauren?
Okay. Let's do it. Oh, I got a 1 and a 2.
Desperate situation it is. Let's do this.
Yep.
I believe
Cool.
him.
Cool.
Excellent. Oh, I can hear like the sort of audible cracking of like floorboards and like the smell of dust and like the sort of lone juror from like the as the silence of the courtroom settles upon us.
Yeah, and I think it's not, it isn't as big a deal as taking down a Rowan, right? Like this is just a merchant. It's just not as huge. Her lawyer's name is Adric Basran.
Cool.
Or barrister. And I think like the screen cuts in on him interrogating you. And he says he walks up to a sheaf of papers that's on the desk as evidence, and he says, "Inspector Mayatui, this is your main batch of evidence against my client. It claims that the hive's money was rerouted, that was made feeding Duskfall, making sure that there wasn't a famine, that money somehow found its way back to the street. Is this true?"
I don't. Wait.
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like I bites her inside cheek and nods. It's just like, it did indeed make its way back to the street. You're welcome to like cut me off before like Maya goes into explaining more of it, because I know that's what lawyers do in cross-examination. It's like, right. I asked you a yes or no question. Please respond in kind.
Right. Totally. And he says, is it my client's responsibility to keep track of every piece of coin that she invests anywhere?
Oh, God dang it. I feel like Maya fixes him with her jawline and says like, well, if I were a prudent businesswoman, I would perhaps, yes, indeed, trace every coin that came under my nose. These are trying times.
How long have you been in Duskfall?
A year.
Have you found it to be a corrupt place where crime springs up everywhere?
Oh gosh, I think Maya
I will
like
remind you, you're under oath.
I know, yeah. I think Maya fixes him with a look, and we again get so the ambient silence, and she says like, "Mr. Basran, I think you'd find that sometimes crime springs up from the roots, and sometimes it falls down from the trees, like plush fruit."
Well said. Inspector Tui. Very, very well said. So really, is there anywhere a prudent businesswoman could put her coin in all of Duskval where some point a scoundrel wouldn't put their hands on it?
Practically speaking, I suppose one is limited in terms of the options they have on hand, but I think it's wrong to accuse.
So essentially, you are trying to put my client in jail for doing business in Duskval.
No, Mr. Bezran, I am testifying against your client for. What's that? More or less fixing the marketplace using some rather underhanded means. I'm sure you've read the case briefing. I don't need to explain it to you again.
I have indeed read the case briefing. Cool. Let's make a roll and see how the
that sounds amazing. Okay.
And see how it goes from there.
What is my position and effect?
Well, we know, right? It's desperate.
Desperate.
I think it's desperate standard.
Excellent. I'll take a bonus die from my dear friend.
It's because I prepared that name, highlighted it even.
Oh, I got a 4.
Okay.
Could have been worse though. Thank you for the assist.
We'll see. 3 ticks on the 4 clock is rough, but you can armor it so it can become 2 ticks, and then you can resist it 1 more if you need to.
Oh, rad. Actually, yeah, does it make sense to resist? Full resist here?
You'd have to say how you're resisting, but yeah.
I think like. Yeah, I think like I'll resist. I think this is where like Maya sort of like does the thing where she stands up, right? And she's like sort of 7 feet tall, like on this witness stand, so it's even taller. And I think like pushes the like Suresh's written testimony about like planting the bomb there and such, and like doing on behalf of the hive, and says like, you know, perhaps like I mistook you for a competent lawyer. You may perhaps need to check the evidence again, and sort of slides that paper across.
Cool. So, would you get a 4?
I got a 4. Yeah, not
okay.
Desperate.
Which means that she does it, but there's a consequence.
Yes.
Right. So I think like you tick 1 in the Dejera and Ironhook, right?
Standard effect is 2.
Oh, 2? Okay, so you get 2, but then it's 3 in
At the moment.
She Walks.
Let's wait. Yeah.
So what do you want to do to mess with that, I guess is my question.
All right, this is where I resist, right? Just in terms of operations. Okay, yeah. I think like yeah, I think like Maya pulls herself to her like full height and says, Mr. Bezran, I would perhaps be less worried about where your client stashes her money, and perhaps where she puts it to good use. And then we'll like do the Sherlock Holmes-esque like tying evidence together about like the train coming in, paying off the silver nails to like plant the bomb there. Oh, what are you going to say, Josh?
I was going to say, if we use the silver nails evidence as a setup, right, which is like what we intended, you can either make the position safer, but we already rolled desperate, so that's a thing, or we can increase our effect.
Cool.
Judd, I believe that the 8 clock would get a 3rd tick if you feel like that's applicable here, which...
Yeah, that is.
Lauren fictionally tied in very nicely. Good job, Lauren.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm down with that. How do we want to deal with these 3 ticks going on She Walks clock?
My suggestion is to armor it now and then try to reduce it by 1 more with the resist. Because no matter how much stress you pay, it's probably worth it.
Which makes sense. It's like all I have is written testimony, right? I don't have like the Suresh here. I just have like her statement, which is less probative than having like the witness there.
Awesome. Make the resist roll.
Awesome. I think this is a conviction. Resist.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's roll it up.
Cool.
Ooh, I got a 3. So I take 3 stress.
Yep.
Right for that. Perfect.
So that's 1, right?
Yep.
Just 1 on the clock. That clock.
Yep.
Okay.
Whew.
We are
Cool.
slightly ahead of the curve.
Excellent.
Cool. Draveron, I think, is called to the sand.
I totally sit down. I'm ready with my 1 die of testify. Let's do this. But I have an armor too, Maya, so this is actually not the worst thing.
Cool.
I have natural born police. All right, shall we?
Yep.
So this desperate roll goes through. I'm put on the stand. I'm gonna walk people through an investigation. I assume that the trouble comes in the cross-examination. Like
Right.
our lawyer, our barrister, is just having me tell the evidence, which we all know because we watched the show, right?
Right.
So we montage through that, and where does it? What kind of position am I in after that, Judd?
I think it's risky.
Okay. Tell me
Yeah.
the fiction. Give me the fiction here, buddy.
Yeah, the barrister Adric Bazrang stands up and says, Sergeant Duran, aren't you just trying to hang your case on a wealthy industrialist in Duskval so that you can have something to show after nearly burning down Charter Hall in your disastrous door kicking that went on?
I smile politely and I say, if I just wanted to hang my case, I would have done as the Lord Governor requested, or perhaps some of the citizens of Charter Hall, which is to say that I would look at low-level gangs and make a few unnotable arrests. Instead, what I am trying to do here is actually find the source and the root of the problem.
And according to what you described for us, these were 2 big gangs. Allegedly, my client's mercantile empire on one side, and on the other side was some unseen criminal cult.
Sure. Yes, that is what the evidence points at. Not the only players involved, certainly, and definitely not the target. The unseen were more like casualties of the particular direction that your client decided to throw her money around in.
Mm-hmm. And is there a case pending for these unseen crime lords whose faces you never could uncover?
I think I actually break my cool for a split second because I am playing to the magistrate and or the jury, not this person. And I say, wasn't the question that you meant to ask, who was it that your client was actually aiming for?
There's a murmur goes out in the courtroom, and now make a roll to see how well that hits.
Hell yeah. What do you feel the skill is? Is it testify? I feel like it's testify. All right, cool. So let's roll some testify. I'm going to push myself to get an extra die.
Cool.
This is risky. Maya, do you have any way to help me at all?
Oh.
Or do we trust the dice?
Oh. This is really interesting in sort of institutional framework of court, settles upon me because I'm how do you from the silence drop say this or just, yeah.
We could flashback. You could have given me tips and tricks or notes. That's generally how we do this, right?
Oh, rad. Oh yeah, I'd say we haven't had a thing right where Sherlock's sort of cold reads the lawyer and sort of leans in and is okay, this is his weak spots, and say by the way he wears his cuff that he suffers from this and this, and that kind of thing, and
He's
these are his
got
tells.
he's got a few spots of this particular drink. His hand shakes. Yada yada yada.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can tell he's nervous when his
All
eye
right.
twitches
All right,
3
cool.
times.
I dig it. I dig it. So I push the lawyer when the lawyer seems most nervous.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to spend a stress die? Give me a die.
Heck yeah.
All right, in which case I get 2 bonus dice. Boop. That's a 6.
Whew.
That's just plain 2 segments on that clock. No baddies.
Awesome.
You tell me. You tell me how the lawyer reacts.
He stammers and like starts to stutter and says and looks at the judge, and the judge like hits her gavel to like bring the room down, and she says let's take a break.
I stand up, adjust my coat, and I'll be back a minute early. I compare notes with Maya. Very good call, very good call. Did you get any other
Other tells, other tips.
Getting tight here.
Yeah, and I think a court clerk comes in and he says the accused wants a moment with the 2 of you.
Done.
Highly unorthodox, but I'll allow it.
And she walks in and
Is this like in a room where she's like in cuffs or
no, she's
Okay.
not in cuffs. She's actually innocent until proven guilty. Like this is
Sure.
like it's a little different than the Rowan case where I think you were undercover and it was just a lot more of a sure thing. And I think you had a lot more of an aggressive magistrate. This magistrate is much more, you know, I don't think innocent until I don't think innocent until proven guilty is in anybody's face in
Habeas
Decibel. I don't think that's a
corpus.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing. But I think that the magistrate is like, I don't think we need to keep her in cuffs. I don't think this is.
So are we in the like
We've got
judge's
it.
chambers or like where are we when we're talking?
Yeah, you're in like a private room where like a lawyer
Okay.
would talk with their client.
Yeah.
And she sits down and says, "Why are you doing this?"
I think Drav just says like, I already told you.
And what's the flashback that we need to remember?
It's the flashback where we're on the boat and she and Maya are exchanging pleasantries. She's like, "Oh, I heard about how Rowan was accused of this and that and the other thing," and like there's that like one moment where like Drav just corrects her, like she's like, "Oh, I'm glad that the cops are like looking for this, that, or the other thing." He's like, "No, like make no mistake, we got the person responsible," right? Like. And again, like later on, where she's like, "Oh, everything will be fine," or like, "Are you sure that everything will be handled?" And like he looks at her and he says, "Like no one's more dangerous than when they're cornered." And I think that he just like there's that flashback back to those things. Then he just looks at her and he says, "My job was to end this goddamn war, not feed your goddamn vendetta. You lit my goddamn city on fire to make extra money. You got greedy. Now you're gonna pay."
Heck yeah.
Nice.
And he holds up a hand. For just like a split second, what he says is, "Here's the thing. I understand greed. I used to be on the streets. But this is... there are certain lines that you don't cross. And if you think that you can buy me, you do not understand why I do this job."
Yeah, and I think she realizes that she's got nothing. She's just there's nothing you guys want. And she
Oh
turns and
no,
walks.
there's something I want very badly, which is her in prison.
Right.
This is that, like, I'll do anything, perish, right? Like,
Yeah, she turns and walks out. She turns and walks out. Uh,
I think I actually look at Maya and I go like, sorry, this case is basically sitting on my last nerve. I don't have a whole lot of patience left.
And then like Maya nods and like puts a hand on Drov's shoulder and says like, no, I get it. I wish we didn't find ourselves going nose to nose with so many strong women within this community, but it seems that they're the only ones who know how to play the game, so to speak. And they're rather good at it.
Shall we?
We shall.
Like halfway to the judge's chambers, almost under his breath, just so that Maya can hear, Drav says, he says, Lizette Rowan offered us the chance to sit at the right hand of the Empress. Why do people think that money's gonna solve all their problems? If we didn't take that, she's got nothing.
Yeah, we have Maya like leans into it and says, well, you know what they say about money?
Awesome. I think the only thing left for a roll is for one of you to help. Let's just make a roll to help you to, because this is a really complicated case. And I think it's like the lawyer talking to you about how to break it down for the magistrate and the jury. So I think like that's the end of it.
Right.
Is
Maya,
explaining.
you wanna bring this home?
Heck yeah.
All right, cool. I'll spend stress to assist you.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, actually, I used one of my secret drop. No, I do spend a stress to assist you because I need more stress on my sheet so I don't overindulge. 4, 5, 6. Yes, perfect 6.
Cool.
Excellent. Yeah, I feel like for Maya, this is like what I recall from talking to jury class at law school. It's like you sort of drop like the facts without reaching a conclusion. So like you allude to like, isn't it so funny that like, this bomb went off here and then suddenly like the like prices of grain skyrocket, and then and who happens to be the one that profits the most off of the price of grain? And then like sort of looks to Dejira in the accused seat kind of thing.
Awesome.
What is my position and effect?
Risky standard. We've bumped it down.
Awesome. Here we go. Oh my god, I whiffed so badly. I got a 2.
Well, that puts 2 ticks on the clock, which you can resist, but it does mean that we're gonna have to do at least one more thing.
When
I say 2 ticks on the clock, I mean the Dejira escapes clock potentially gets 2 more ticks, right?
Yep, it does. Should I put that in, or are you?
I'll resist that. I think like I feel like in terms of like the fiction of this courtroom scene, Maya, the Subarusi witch, is perhaps a bit too intimidating. Like delivering this testimony and like sort of catches Drov's eyes, like don't like pull back on the scary witch stuff. And then sort of like recalibrates and like, okay, and then sort of starts laying out the facts again so as not to scare the jury.
Yep.
Bad.
Cool. So this is like you scaling it back a little bit and trying not to be the scary, demon-handed, heartless witch.
Oh yeah, like this totally doesn't happen, but like from the corner of your eye, you can swear that like my clothes start levitating a bit, like the more passionate I get. But it totally isn't magic or anything. It's just It's just like a trick of your eyes.
It's probably not real.
Exactly. That feels like another conviction. Whew, I got a 6.
No
cool.
stress. Not bad.
That's about your stress. Cool. Cool. So I think the lawyer, the barrister, who is trying this case, who I'm going to name uh, Roland Watt. I'm taking that name off of the thing. It says he's a judge inspector. So I'm going to say that's a barrister. It sounds like a barrister to me.
Totally.
Um, he says she is willing to cut a deal. She's willing to name a lot of high-ranking Ministry of Preservation people and link a lot of human trafficking to what they're doing and their shipments. I'm prone to take it. I got to tell you, Ministry of Preservation is it's like a bunch of fat ticks. Being able to get in there and dig some out would be amazing. You did good work.
Apparently not good enough.
And this is definitely like me saying this is what's happening. If you want to make some rolls, make some rolls. But yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking to Maya for the lead on this one. Because Drav knows that he's obsessed. Actually, let me push that. I think it's obvious that Drav is obsessed when he puts his hand down and says, no, she's the one that did this. She's the one that should pay. It is absolutely the wrong answer, and Strash knows that. But...
Oh, it's so tough because getting a lot of names of people is very juicy.
Stopping human trafficking is a good deed.
Is a good deed, yeah.
Drav should remember that he's trying to not be a villain, but right now, this is a case and he's got the bug.
Yeah. It's just where you have like our sidebar where Maya's like, we could catch so many more rats, like if we just had some names. I know it sounds like a shortcut, and it is, but
I think that Drav looks at you really, really carefully and just says, is that what we're trying to do, is just catch a lot of rats in a bucket?
I often find myself questioning, Andy, what it is we're doing. I know that we both are very driven people when it comes to trying to do right by the city and such, but I think she's to Robin. She's like, am I like, is this what happens when you spend a year in Doskville? Like, you begin to start making admissions and making allowances for the corruption just to try and reduce more of it.
So, Lauren, I just want, because we're people, I want to remind you that I heart you. And even when there is some arguments and PvPing in character, it is not directed at Lawrence. It is only perfectly in character. All right, with that said, I think Drav belts out. Like, he's like, no, we fucking talked about this. He, like, hits, like, the desk with a finger to, like, punctuate his points, right? He's like, we went to the goddamn station, and you said, no, we're going after the people that are behind this. This trafficking is a completely different case. That is not this case. This is the end of this case. This woman started a war because of her involvement with someone. I understand caring about people, but she went too big. She dug too goddamn deep for that gold. No, she is the one that needs to pay. If we go after those people, we can do it tomorrow. I will build that case. I will be at your side when we are testifying on that case. But today, she is the one on the stand.
Nice. Huss. I think Maya, like, I forget how tall does like Drav sit into relation to Maya?
He's like 5'6", 5'7". Like he's a good like head and shoulders beneath her.
I think like this is a very like awkward, heated silence, right? It's like the two of them are staring at each other, and then like Maya puts a hand like on his shoulder. I think both hands like on his shoulders to like ground him, and says like, "Okay, did you have anything you wanted to say?"
Oh, I was just gonna say like you could feel him almost vibrating with rage underneath that touch. Go on.
And Maya sort of like says very quietly, like, "You're right. We should have more conviction in ourselves. And trust that you're right. That's a different case. And it is
Cool.
a case we will get to. It is a case we'll fucking take down. More of those goddamn rats. If it's the last thing we do, which it may very well be, but let's get her."
All right. Now we just need to convince the lawyer.
Yes.
And I think he was there watching this, and he says, "That's all very touching. I'm going to go put in the paperwork to accept her plea." And he starts getting his papers together.
Oh, dang.
Lawyer, what is your name?
I'm Roland Watt.
I will tell the Emperor that you're the reason why this case isn't closed properly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Make a roll.
This is exploit 100%. There is no relate in this, and I am absolutely trying to get my way. I do not care about this man's feelings.
I will toss you an assist.
Yes! What? Save that. I'm gonna... Well, unless you have the extra assist for when we go on the stand.
I have 4 more stress left, so I can... Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. Judd, what's my position in effect?
I think it's controlled great.
Okay.
And I also think this affects the clock. I don't think only things when you're on the stand affect the clock. I think this will affect the clock.
Yeah, I hit that 6 hard.
Nice.
So yeah, I.
So that's 3, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely it is.
Okay. He takes out a kerchief and wipes his brow and says, "Okay, Sergeant." And he like takes out a piece of paper that was the plea deal and he rips it. And he goes into a room and you hear Adric Bazran go, "What?"
It's an amazing deal.
Maya leads it and is like, "We should see if we can get him on more cases." Good bloke.
And an hour later, the jury comes back with a guilty verdict. And that is that. This case is done.
Cool. I think there is one last scene. I think. Oh no. Actually, I don't think there is because of what Maya said. Because I think Drav actually like looks at his badge and gun and thinks real hard about quitting, and then remembers that he promised Maya they're gonna go after some like Ministry of Preservation people the next day, and I think that he just takes a deep breath and says one more case, and just lets it go.
Cool. And speaking of which, the next case is called The Last Case, because we always name our cases. And so do we want to take a quick break and then we can start that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Sounds amazing. Yeah.
All right, folks. First off, just real quick, thank you so much to Technoscald for bringing in some folks from their Blaze in the Dark game.
Heck yeah.
So welcome to you folks. Sorry we're about to vanish on you here shortly after you appear. We should be back in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about the last case next.
Ah,
With
I'm
that-
very pumped and very sad.
All right. I'm gonna transition, then I'll fix the timer. I'm so sorry if the timer is wrong right at the gateway. I was not prepared for this. I didn't realize we're cutting here. All right. Smooth outro.